Well, first of all, thanks for inviting us. Like Carly said, All-Star Week, but how are things going with this new group? What do you like? What don't you like? All the above kind of thing.
Well, there's a lot to like, but obviously it's July, so I try to keep things in perspective. We're not all here yet. We're still, Hayden and Alexis are still playing with their national team, so they've worked. They've come in. I think you can see, it's a pretty talented group, and it's just a matter of now continue to refine some things. And summer a lot of times is about experiment, so we're tinkering with some different things. Each day is a little different, but how they compete, we've done a lot of this is what you saw with the 5-on-5. I think that helps in terms of the chemistry and the connection, just playing a lot, and this group has done that. We've had to kick them out of the gym at times because they really like to play. So I think we've got good depth. I think we've got size, and the experience that the transfers have brought has obviously been pretty obvious.
It seems very competitive in here today.
It is. It's like that every day. We have very high-level competitors that want to win, and whether there's 17,000 in here or nobody, it's like this every day.
Have you seen a difference from John after doing what he did this summer and coming back?
Yeah, I think the confidence level, whether the NBA experience was what that brought out of him, or if it's just going into year 3, across kind of halftime of his career, you can see he's bigger physically, he's leaner, he's really trimmed up, he's cut in some areas that he didn't have the definition in before. So, and he's come with a more dominant mentality, as you can see when we play. He has ability to take over and really dominate games.
What does it feel like maybe he drives some of that competitiveness that everybody else has?
Yeah, I think Nick fuels it. Those two, whether they're together, and I put them together, and I've intentionally kept them on opposite teams just because they're both alphas, and they both to have them, spar off or face off against each other is good. I think it's good for both of them to keep pushing each other's bar a little higher.
Now that you've seen John, has Nolan made any improvements then?
Oh yeah. Nolan has been, I think he's close to 250 now in terms of his weight. So there's been there's been nobody really I've felt that hasn't taken a jump. So I'm excited to get Hayden and Alexis here just to see how they fit. To get the whole group together. But like I said, the experience of the transfers has been pretty obvious, and they picked up on stuff really quick. I think the weight room has been really good for them. I think it's been something that they haven't been accustomed to in the other places they've been at. So that's been a little bit of a transition and a good experience for them, because their bodies are changing and getting challenged in ways that they haven't in the past. But Nolan's made some pretty serious jumps.
Now that you've seen Nick come on the court, in addition to his competitiveness, what does he bring to this group?
Yeah, he's a terrific leader, really vocal, extremely competitive. Obviously, see the pace that he plays with. I mean, the speed that he brings the ball with is something that is pretty obvious. We got to continue to clean up his decision making. Part of that's who he's playing with and just getting used to each other. And that's been one thing that the first few days guys we should have put helmets on players because a few almost had some concussions with the passes that he threw. It was like, hey, just get ready because he sees you, it's coming. So we just haven't had that in terms of the speed and the ability to deliver the ball that he brings. So our bigs and our screeners got to get used to the ball coming at a pretty high pace. So that's just what this time of year will help them just get used to each other. Knowing that he's, you're screening for him, he's probably going to hit you in some way, shape, or form. He's going to find a way to get the ball to you. Just make so many things happen with the ball.
I've been here for like 20 minutes, but Andrew looked really good. What do you expect from him this season?
Yeah, I think he really likes playing this system. I think it fits him. His ability, as much as he scores and does, I think his passing may be his best attribute. Maybe at his size at 6'6" and how he can play in the ball screens. I've seen the passing really shine from day one. And I think, again, another guy that the experience shows. This is new. There's a lot of new things specifically offensively that we're doing that he hasn't done in the past, but it fits exactly, who he is as a player at his skill level. And if you can play with the ball in your hands and play fast, play in ball screens, you're going to love playing in this. And I think he learned that right away from day one. And he commented about how good it felt to be in playing at the pace and in the spacing of the floor, the movement, all the things that we've been able to incorporate within this system. Like fit him pretty well.
Speaking on Nick, how important is the intensity and urgency that he seems to bring on?
Yeah, I mean, it's July. You know, we started mid-June, so this is week 5. Today was the 10th workout. He's been like that from day one. You know, he's really vocal. He's positive. He holds guys accountable. He holds himself accountable. He works every day in the weight room. He's just at another level in terms of the maturity and the leadership that he brings. And that's what you want, specifically when you have that point guard. Like I said, the combination of leadership, ability, athleticism, speed, how he sees the game, all those things rolled into one, and puts him in a position to really impact our team in a positive way.
Mark got the general manager title earlier this week. When you promoted him a few years ago, did you foresee at the time that you would need somebody on staff that's doing the type of responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it coming. You know, we just tried to stay either with or ahead of the times. You know, so he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's been a part of, obviously in this world of roster composition, acquisition, and building a team. He's been right there with us, and really has been. Our staff has done a phenomenal job of being really foresighted in terms of where this world is going and how we need to adapt and adjust and change to stay on pace with where it's going. And I felt, we said over a year ago, we're going to need a general manager at some point in time. It's just a matter of how it all fit together, and I think his knowledge of this place, he has institutional knowledge, and I think is really important here. And then obviously the job that he did, or he has done over the last couple of years, has been terrific. He's really, really good in that administrative role.
Was that around the time a year ago when his role, I guess, became more general manager-like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chief of staff is just another fancy name for general manager, or whatever you want to call it, front office. I don't see him that way. He's actually front office. Like he's hard to get a hold of. He's never, like he became one of them.
With that specifically, that general manager title, is there anything that kind of enables you guys to do as a staff that maybe you weren't able to do before?
I think the biggest thing with that is him being able to operate in a 6-month head start to where we are in real time. So where we are here in July, he's already forecasting, in terms of retention for 26-27. How do we build a roster for 26-27? That not only with the revenue share, which we're having to spin a lot of new plates that are involved with the revenue share and how this is all going to work with the house settlement and the clearinghouse and everything going forward. Just let him run down the road ahead, so when we get there as a program, as a team, when it's time next spring or late this fall to try to re-sign for 26-27 or to build your roster in the spring of 26, that he's out ahead. And I think the other instance really has become a professional sports model in terms of agent relations. I mean, conversations with agents, developing relationships, understanding which agents have what players, not only in the high school standpoint, but internationally, and then here in the States. So there's just so many things that he can run ahead on and stay out in front of us. And I think that's really going to help. Not that we won't be there and listen and have input along the way, but it just allows him to. It was more about even getting some of the operations responsibilities off his plate, because we were going to bury him under the call center if we kept piling stuff on his plate than we did. There's nobody that's had more on his plate over the last 18 months than he has, so we needed to get some of that off his plate and really let him focus on the general manager and the front office, so to speak, quote unquote, responsibilities of this, and then we'll hire somebody to do the operations in a replacement position for him.
When you guys are working this hard, is it hard to wait until October for things to work around? I mean, is the excitement there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, you have to keep it in perspective. Like I just reminded them, hey, it's July, right? We got a long ways to go yet before we can start with practice or official practice, let alone our first game or the start of conference play. So, but you don't want to waste days either, right? We want to make sure we maximize everything we have here. We don't want to look back in October and November and go, man, I wish I had a couple more days back in June or July or August. So this group has done a good job of going right to towing that line, and it's good that we have to back them off a little bit. I'd rather have a group that's over eager and wants to be in here more. Like you tell, practice must not have been too hard because they all hang around. So that's good that they're hungry for more. But you also have to keep it in perspective that, you know, I don't want to overcook it here in July because we've got a long ways to go yet.
A couple of games in Milwaukee this year. What was the thought process with scheduling those?
A variety of things. I think one, anytime we can play in various, there's not a lot of venues for us to play around the state, to be able to see and allow fans from different parts of the state to see us that normally either can't get here, can't get tickets. So Milwaukee obviously is really important. Obviously you get to play in an NBA arena. We'll play one in Salt Lake City as well, where the Jazz play, and that's, you know, you get NCAA tournament sites are held, so it's a little bit of a precursor to what hopefully can come in March. I think obviously the level of competition is important, and then there's a financial component too, that this world has changed, that in terms of how we have to continue to navigate and develop new sources of financial stability. I think all those things come into that. I wanted to leave no rock unturned, so to speak, in terms of what the opportunities were for us and the options were. We had a lot of them on the table, and these, to be able to play two in Milwaukee, whereas you know, that's as good as it gets in terms of you start doing some of these neutral site events.
With Austin's transition from Portland to here, how have you seen that going?
I think the biggest thing for him has been the speed and the physicality. I think his body's gotten better. I think the program we have this summer has helped him kind of define areas he needs to work on in terms of his body. And you remember, he's only played 1 year at college, even though I think with him, Alexis, and with Hayden, even though they all come in, him with Aussie with 1 year, Alexis and Hayden technically coming in as freshmen, they played so much international competition that it puts them ahead of a normal freshman. They have way more experience in terms of games played, venues been in, travel than what Zach or Will have as true freshmen out of high school. So I think for him it's just been an adaptation to the level. When they, you know, from Portland, no disrespect, but they don't have the resources that we have here, and they aren't able to train in the facilities like we have here. So that the intensity and the frequency of that has been, I think, the biggest change or shock to the system that some of these new guys have gone through.
When you compare the last two portal cycles, this year you were able to keep the top of your roster intact. You got 3 big names in relatively short order. How just pleased were you know, with this offseason, and maybe what do you attribute the speed and efficiency you guys were able to operate this time around?
Yeah, I think I try not to compare classes or years together, because the landscape changed just from last year's class to this year's class, and how we operated, how the world was operating in terms of college basketball and roster composition and acquisition, as I mentioned. I think the experience going through it in the past couple of years has helped us be better armed, not only financially, but also just foreshadowing needs, foreshadowing where we were going to be able to have some, you know, have some impact in terms of who we were going to be able to go after. I think the international world has continued to expand, so that was another, you know, like I said, it's not the same. We're not running down the same exact track that we were a year ago, both on how the outside world is operating, but also how we've changed and adapted and adjusted, and I think grown in terms of how we navigate through that as well.
Have you seen Jack Janicki evolve at all, maybe from a walk-on guy to maybe now a second year, or even a leader maybe?
Yeah, he's been really good. I mean, like I said, I can't go and say that anybody hasn't taken a jump and isn't further ahead of where they were when we left here in March. So he's another one that has continued. You can just see the confidence grow and continue to get better, and he does a lot of little things that maybe don't. We've had so many of those guys over the years, you know, Gosser, Showalter, that have done little things that impact winning, that are really, really important. And Jack's another one of those guys that has those type of traits, just understands what it takes to win, and he's willing to do that for his team.